Thank you, Jazz. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Robert Hutchings. I'll be chairing the hearing today. I'm joined on the panel by Michelle Duncan and Diane Knight. Mr. Ryan Valderrama will be the assessor representing the Assessment and Taxation Department, City of Winnipeg. And our administrative personnel is Jaswinder Kumar. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions again. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 10 today on our docket. Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Ryan Valderrama.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. The applicant, please state your full name. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Good morning, everyone. First item on the docket today is item number 1, file number 22-1569. Address is 3299 Pembina Highway, and we are dealing with a 2023 realty assessment appeal. And Mr. Valderrama, I understand there's a preliminary issue on this first property regarding requesting an onus be changed to the applicant for non-cooperation. Would you like to enter the property into record, and then we'll deal with that preliminary issue first, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So the property again has a file number of 22-1569. It has a roll number of 0309126380. The property address is 3299 Pembina Highway. Again, we're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value for the property is $12,812,000. It is classified as a residential 2 with a liability of taxable. This is a residential apartment with 1 building, 4 stories. It is built in 2009. It has 63 suites, 90 outdoor parking stalls. It is zoned as residential multifamily with a land area of 82,246 square feet, a planned area of 18,824 square feet, and a gross floor area of 75,296 square feet. And I would like to request that the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation based on Section 53(3)(b) of the Municipal Assessment Act. And if a reduction in assessment is ordered, that it follow Section 54 3.2 of the Municipal Assessment Act. And I attached some documents on page 9, Mr. Chair, and page 10 with regard to the non-compliance. These are the receipts and the tracking number. And on page on page 4, or sorry, page, that one. Oh, I'm losing it. Hang on one sec. On page 2, Mr. Chair, is some dates of the requests for income information, and as stated there, there are some years that were not received when we requested for income information for the property, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Would you mind going through the delivery of the request for information on pages, I believe it's 9 and 10 for us?
Yes, the first one is a confirmation from Canada Post. It has there's the scan delivery date, and then also, it indicates a delivery date of June 11, 2021. It has the item number, and then there's a signatory name. It's just an FD agent. And on the next page, I do have the tracking number, and it highlights, or it indicates the time and the dates of where the income and expense information is at. It was delivered on June 11th at 10:17 a.m. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any question or comments on the request?
A couple questions, thank you. So are you aware of who signed for the package?
No, I don't.
And there is no signature, correct?
It's not available on our files for this property. However, the tracking number may indicate or may double check or confirm from Canada Post what information is needed or necessary.
And are you aware of where the package was sent to?
It's not in here. It's not in our file.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm not sure.
That would conclude my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Diane, any questions of the assessor regarding your situation?
So you don't have the letter to confirm that the address was correct for the applicant, correct?
If I may clarify the question, you're asking for the mailing address?
Correct, for the property owner. You don't have the letter so that we can verify with the applicant that that was the correct address?
No, I wasn't able to attach it here. However, if we go back to page 2, there are some years that weren't also sent to our department. It's
And
not
this
just a
was during,
one-off.
and the other question is, this is during COVID where they were just left in the mailbox, correct?
I'm not sure, but
Or was this past that time?
it was 2021,
Yeah.
as dated. So someone can refresh my memory on what's the condition in that time during that time.
Yeah,
but,
I don't remember either.
There's I'm not sure what
Okay,
the restrictions were or what the conditions were.
thank you.
Anything else, Diane?
No,
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Valderrama, my only question is page 9. When it says signatory name FD agent, does that mean front desk agent, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, I'm not sure. It's the first time I've encountered FD agent, to be honest. So
Okay.
I don't have.
All right.
information.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Cates, would you like to respond to the request?
Yeah, I'll just keep it brief. The penalty is quite severe. And in our view, unless the assessor can prove beyond a doubt that it should be applied, then we don't feel it's reasonable. There's, on what has been submitted, there's no signature, no name of who received it. There's no address of where it was sent to. We also did our own due diligence. I reached out to the owner through our contact, who is the property manager, and the owner reports no recollection of receiving it. And additionally, I tried to search up the tracking number on the Canada Post website, but it's no longer active, so I couldn't get any information from there. Thank you. That would conclude my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. The panel will now recess and consider the evidence presented by both parties. Jaswinder, could you put us in camera, please?
You're live, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jazz. I will now call the hearing back to order. The panel has considered the evidence presented by both parties regarding the request for non-cooperation, and it is our ruling or our opinion that the request be denied, so the onus of proof will remain with the assessor. Mr. Valderrama, you will proceed first. Just bear with us. I think we're on your brief here, but yes, okay. I think we're all ready. When you're ready, Mr. Valderrama.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to continue, on page 3 is the photo of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation summary. Again, there are 63 total units with an average monthly rent per unit of $1,694.14. The gross potential rent is $1,280,770, with a vacancy rate of 4.2% or $53,792. The effective gross income is $1,226,978. Using the expense ratio of 52.49% or $644,041, the net operating income is $582,937. Applying the capitalization rate of 4.55%, the capitalized income is $12,811,802 or $12,812,000 rounded. The next page are a few rent comparables. First one is located at 70 Bison Drive. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,695. Next one that is located at 522 River Avenue. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,611. Third one is located at 570 Stradbrook Avenue. The average monthly rent per unit is $1,796. And the last one is located at 50 Bison Drive. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,657. On the next page is the map of the subject property and the comparable rents. On page 7, if I may read through the capitalization rates page, Mr. Chair, this will be applied to the rest of the property for the interest of time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama.
Yeah, the capitalization rates, a direct capitalization method is used to convert a property's single year of income into an indication of value by dividing the estimated net operating income by an appropriate capitalization rate. Capitalization rates can be derived from properties that have sold by dividing each property's net operating income by its sale price. For the 2023 general assessment, using April 1st, 2021 as reference date, the capitalization rates were derived from model-generated estimates of net operating income and sale prices that were time adjusted to April 1st, 2021. The assessed values produced by the application of these model-generated capitalization rates were compared to sale prices, and assessment to sale price ratios were calculated. The resulting ratio statistics for the Assessment and Taxation Department's income-producing models satisfy the standards specified and set forth in the Standard on Ratio Studies, which was approved back in April 2013, and published by the International Association of Assessing Officers. ATD's capitalization rates are further supported by comparison with real estate market reports from Colliers International Canada, CBRE National Research, and Cushman and Wakefield. The following chart compares ATD's capitalization rates with the published rates by fitting ATD's rates into the property type categories used in these reports. ATD's property type classes are more comprehensive so that they cover every property type in the city. The 20th and 80th percentiles show the range of capitalization rates used by ATD for 60% of the parcels within the specific property type. In many cases, the published rates fall within 20th and 80th percentiles, indicating the tenability of the capitalization rates derived by ATD. If we move down the chart, in the multifamily section, all property type classes fall between 4.8 to 5.6% of capitalization rate. So that's the 20th and 80th percentile in our inventory stock. And then the next page also, Mr. Chair, if I may read through this, and in the interest of time, this will be applied to the rest of the properties that we'll be hearing today.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Valderrama. We'll consider that presented for the remaining properties on the docket. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the next page, page 8, is the capitalization rate evidence. The following is a sample of actual sales that took place during the reference period. The purpose for showing these capitalization rates is to illustrate the accuracy of the model and substantiate the model-derived capitalization rates. They are not meant to be comparable specific to the subject property. Net operating income has been developed through stabilizing owner-reported income and expense information. Capitalization rates have been derived by dividing the property's net operating income by its sale price. So the first sale is located at 2390 McPhillips. It was sold on October 9th, 2020. It was sold for $19.4 million. It has 90 suites with a year built and effective age of 2015. So the dollar sale per suite is $215,556, and it has a calculated cap rate of 4.79%. The next one is located at 700 St. Mary's. It was sold on April 7th, 2020. It was sold for $1,035,000. It has 9 suites with a year built and effective age of 1961. The dollar sale per suite is $115,000. It has a calculated cap rate of 3.6%. The next sale is located at 203 Bertrand. It was sold on June 14, 2019. It was sold for $925,000. It has 9 suites, has a year built and effective age of 1963. It has a dollar per suite value of, based on the sale, it is $102,778. The calculated cap rate is 4.77%. Next one is located at 555 Corridon. It was sold on November 26, 2018. It was sold for $1,575,000. It has 16 suites. Has a year built and effective age of 16. It has a year built and effective age of 1955. And it has a dollar sale per suite of $98,438. That's a calculated cap rate of 5.74%. Oh, the next one is located at 677 Maryland. It was sold on December 15th, 2020. It has a sale price of $2.4 million with 32 suites. It has a year built of 1913. It has an effective age of 1972. A dollar sale per suite of $75,000, and it has a calculated cap rate of 5.5%. Last one is located at 32 Arden. It has a sale date of March 1st, 2019. It was sold for $2,875,000. It has 23 suites with a year built of 1969 and an effective age of 1984. The dollar sale per suite is $125,000, and it has a calculated cap rate of 5.05%. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor?
Yes, thank you. So if we turn to your income value summary on page 4, is it fair to say that all the parameters used are model derived?
Yes, these are all model derived parameters.
And if we turn to your rent comps on page 5, would you agree that comps 2 to 4 were built to a higher quality of construction than the subject, being masonry and concrete compared to wood frame?
Well, they are built with a masonry, yes, and concrete frame, correct. Will they be better? I'm not sure.
Okay. Would you agree that comps 2 and 3 are in a different market region than the subject and a different area of the city overall?
Well, based on our inventory, this is in the same market region. It's just probably in this different neighborhood.
Would you agree that none of your comps are in the same neighborhood as the subject?
Well, I would say Bison Drive is close to Pembina Highway. Bison Drive is close to Pembina Highway. So they're within the same market region. So basically, they're within reach, but not really side by side or really a stone throw away.
Are you aware that comps 1 to 4 all offer underground parking, whereas the subject property does not?
I am not aware of the underground parking.
And would you agree that sheltered parking would be a value positive that could lead to higher rents being achieved?
Average monthly rent per unit considered here does not include parking rents. So I may not agree with that.
Are you aware that comps 1 and 4 have a residence lounge, gym, and are pet friendly, whereas the subject does not offer these amenities?
No, I'm not aware of those.
Would you agree that more amenities would be a value positive that could lead to higher rents being achieved?
I wouldn't be able to agree on that one or disagree on that one, so I'm not sure.
Okay. And comp 2 shows utilities included in the rent. Would you agree that that could skew the rents when comparing to properties where utilities are not included?
Probably it could.
Okay. So if we go to your cap rate table on page 7, the 20th and 80th percentiles are shown, but are you aware of what the entire range is?
No, I don't have it in this evidence, so I don't know. These are just the 60% of the parcel we have.
And we could see in the broker evidence that you've submitted that they don't apply anything lower than 5% for low rise. Can you provide information on the sales that are being used to allow the city to achieve rates going to 4.8%?
I just provided the sales on page 8.
But to clarify, the sales on page 8 aren't the entirety of the inputs into the model, correct?
No, they're not the entirety. They're just samples.
So would it be fair to say you don't know how many sales are included, the proportion of high rise to low rise, what area, et cetera, to derive the model rates shown here?
I don't have that information with regard to that.
And would you agree that the low end of the ranges established by the brokers would be for the highest quality properties?
I wouldn't be aware of those, no.
So looking at this property specifically, would you agree that wood frame would generally not be considered as high quality as concrete or steel?
I'm not sure of the income generating potential of whether it is a wood frame or a masonry frame. But all I know is that we're basing more on rents rather than the the frame or the quality build.
And would you agree that wood frame properties tend to carry greater risk due to like limitations of the material, et cetera?
No.
No.
Maybe,
But you couldn't build like a high-rise building with wood frame, correct?
no.
Okay. And if we turn to your cap rate sales on page 8, the purpose stated is to show the accuracy of the model, but only 2 of the 6 cap rates are actually in the 20th to 8th percentile. Is that correct?
Only one doesn't belong. 4.79 and 4.77 may be included. It's 4.8. That's our the 20th percentile. So I mean 4.79 and 4.77 may be really close to 4.8. So it's only 3.6 that's outside of the range.
So you wouldn't agree that 4.77 and 4.79 are below the range?
Well, slightly, but I mean, if we use 4.8, could be subject to rounding or anything like that.
And final question, we see the sales here. Have you also provided the workups as part of your direct evidence?
No, I did not.
Okay, thank you. That would conclude my questions. And I also do have some rebuttal.
Could I ask Ms. Cates related to the, specifically to what?
To the cap rates.
Okay, you know what we'll do? We'll, we'll have questioning by the panel, and then we'll, since we've got Mr. Valderrama's brief up here, we'll deal with the rebuttal immediately. And Jazz, is it included in our SharePoint?
Not yet, Mr. Chair, but I will put that in there.
Yeah, okay, if you could add it, and but we'll go through questioning. Diane, do you have any questions of the assessor right now? Diane, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
On page 8, the sale price, is that the price that's from land titles with no commissions on it, or where is that sale price from?
It's the actual sale price that took place, ma'am.
Okay. And then question in regards to, do you have pictures of the inside of these suites? Do you have anything to show us what they look like?
And I have no pictures of the interior, no, none.
And have you been to this building?
No, I haven't been.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Michelle, any questions of the assessor?
I have one, and I apologize if it was kind of responded to in Ms. Kate's comments, but Ryan, the percentiles go from 4.8 up, yet the cap rate that the model is put in is 4.55. So that's lower than the bottom. Why would that be?
Again, as I've mentioned in page 7, these are just 60% of the inventory, the entire inventory that we have. So there could be more properties, or 40% that would fall beyond the 20th and 80th percentile, or 4.8 to 5.6% in this case.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Mr. Valderrama, I'm looking on the photo on page 3, aerial view. So that's the subject property. I'm trying to, could you tell me what corner we're on? Are we on Pembina Highway, where we are located?
Oh, it's farther down south, Mr. Chair. If we go to page 6, on my page 6, it has a map of where it is at. So it's farther south of Pembina Highway.
Okay. So it's actually on the west side of Pembina?
I believe so, but my map is just not clear if it's on the west side or the east side. But
Yeah,
I believe it is west.
Okay. Are we, what would be a major intersection south of this property? Is it Bison Drive? Am I in the right neighborhood there, or are we further south?
If I look at my page 6 of the map, it's I don't think it's Bison Drive. I believe it's farther down Richmond West, by Perimeter, close to Perimeter.
Diane, do you have any knowledge of where this is?
I think this is just outside of the perimeter near Grandmont, just before St. Norbert.
Oh,
Yeah, on my
okay.
page 6. Yeah, the blue arrow or the blue dot.
Yeah, you're further out.
We're way down south of the perimeter. Okay, within St. Norbert.
It's not quite St. Norbert, but almost.
Okay.
I don't know where St. Norbert starts, so it's not obviously if it's a city here. I have friends that live just by here. That's why the only reason I know.
Okay, so we are. This was probably built on a demolished building, I imagine, back in 2009. Would that be accurate?
Without the permits on this property, I wouldn't be able to say if there was an old building that was torn down.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's good. And so the suites do have exterior balconies, and
Some of them.
most of them do. And the parking is surface only. And would the parking be extra? Would you know that at all?
Without the income and expense statement,
Okay.
wouldn't be able to know.
Okay, maybe Ms. Cates can enlighten us on that. Okay, I think that's all my questions. Ms. Cates, we shall deal with your rebuttal now, okay? But we're gonna have to refresh. I'm not sure if Jaswinder put it in our SharePoint, but bear with us here. And we'll pull.
I put that in there, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ms. Cates, allow us all to find your rebuttal, okay? And we'll let you know when we're all ready.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, 4 minutes ago, I believe that would be it, Jazz?
Yes.
And it is. And the rebuttal is to assessor apartment cap rate. Is that right, Ms. Cates?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, Diane, do you have it?
I'm good, yeah.
Ryan, do you have it?
Yes.
Okay.
I have it, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Cates, when you're ready, please.
Okay, thank you. So if you turn to page 2, this is our overview of the sale for 2390 McPhillips. The property was bought with below market rents. And so once we applied CMHC rents to our workup and CMHC vacancy, we found that the cap rate is 5.59. Previously, we had a cap rate of 5% based on pro forma. So on page 3, we have our workup to 2390 McPhillips. So just showing the use of the CMHC October 19 and 20 rents and vacancy, and showing all our other inputs to get to our 5.59% cap rate. On page 4, we have the R&M breakdown of how we arrived at our 800 a suite R&M for 2390 McPhillips. And then on page 5, we get into our overview of the cap rates for 700 St. Mary's and 32 Arden. So 700 St. Mary's, we found that it was purchased with the intent to renovate, and we have an enclosed letter from the property manager as part of this submission. And they indicated that it was purchased by a first-time buyer, and the property was in rough shape with the previous owner not having done much for repairs. And then looking at 32 Arden, there was a couple things with this sale. Firstly, there was some inconsistent reporting in the income, specifically the laundry income was missing for 2018, where it was present for 2016 and 17. And then additionally, an ad indicates renovation, showing that there is intention when purchasing. So then the remainder, we just have our backup documents for kind of our overviews of the sales here. So page 6 and 7 is the CMHC information that we use for 2390 McPhillips. Page 8, what we have here is an ad from the apartment showing that the rent was increased. So just to clarify, we're not using the rent from this ad, but the rent just supports the idea that the purchaser was aware that it was below market. If we turn to page 15, this is the letter from D7 Property Management pertaining to the 700 St. Mary's sale, that it was purchased with the intent to renovate. And then starting on page 16, we have the backup information for 32 Arden. So we have an ad included here with some portions highlighted out showing remodeling or renovation. And then starting on page 19, we've included the financial statements for 32 Arden of 2016, 17, and 18. So just showing the differences in the income reported. And then if I could ask everyone just to skip ahead to page 37. So page 37, what we've included here is a municipal board order, essentially just speaking to the idea that sales that were purchasing with the intent to renovate needs to be considered further before being used in a cap rate or ratio study, with essentially the spirit of the order being that renovations that are going to change the rents that can be achieved should not be included in as part of cap rate studies. And some of those portions of the order have been highlighted for ease of viewing there. So that would conclude my rebuttal presentation to the city's cap rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. I'm not sure, we haven't looked ahead at the other briefs or had them presented, but would it be fair that we would consider this evidence as rebuttal for the following properties possibly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we'll deal with them as we come up to them. Okay, thank you. Mr. Valderrama, any questions of the applicant's rebuttal?
None, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Michelle, any questions of the rebuttal?
No, thank you. No questions.
Thank you. Diane?
No, sir.
And I have no questions either. So that would conclude Mr. Valderrama's presentation and the rebuttal to it by the applicant. Ms. Cates, bear with us 1 second while we pull up your brief, please.
And I have a question too in regards to the brief. If I could ask that now.
Oh, of course. Yes, go ahead.
So I submitted a brief within the deadline, and then I got just some more detailed income and expense information. So I submitted a revised brief a day after the deadline. So it doesn't change much in regard to our requested assessment, but the revised brief just has a more detailed breakdown of the expenses. So I was wondering if I could present the revised brief.
Okay, Mr. Valderrama, any comment on that 1 day late?
It is what it is, Mr. Chair.
Would you like to view
wouldn't.
it first? Would you like to view it first before you agree or disagree? Would that be fair?
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Jaswinder, do we have that available to us?
Yes, Mr. Chair, is the latest one we have in the folder.
Okay.
So the one that we have on 3299 is the revised brief?
Yeah, it's labeled as late at the end.
That is the revised brief. Okay. Mr. Valderrama, would you like to view it first? It's kind of hard to compare it. You don't know what's being changed. Ms. Cates, would you like to detail what's being changed for Mr. Valderrama's information?
Yes. So essentially the revised version, one of the changes was we got the actual insurance amount versus on the prior version submitted, we had to just do an estimate based on previous values. And then additionally, we were able to get a detailed repair and maintenance breakdown on the revised version. So I was able to better stabilize it versus on the prior version. I wasn't really able to stabilize just because I couldn't see the exact inputs. So overall, the expense ratio is a little lower on the revised version just because we were better able to stabilize.
Okay. So just to summarize, you were able to get actuals as opposed to estimates, and your revised income workup reflects those changes.
Yes.
Would that be fair? Okay. So Mr. Valderrama, would you have any complaint in that she's actually used actuals to be more accurate, I guess, in her estimate of value?
I have no complaints with it. It's just I'll leave it to the board to do
Okay.
or to it's up to you to the board, Mr. Chair, to give weight on it, whether it's late or not. I mean, it's up to you.
Okay,
But we take note that it is late, so we were all aware of it. So
okay, thanks, Mr. Valderrama.
thank you.
Then we will proceed with the information, Ms. Cates, and I believe that your brief is the revised one. Is that right, Jaswinder?
It's labeled as late at the end.
Pardon me?
That's the only brief we have in the folder, Mr. Chair. Is the
Okay.
revised one.
Perfect, okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm just gonna ask for a copy of it.
Yeah, sure. I think we exchanged it with you already, but I'll send you another one.
Okay, thank you.
We shall wait until Mr. Valderrama gets that so he can follow along. Ms. Cates, if we could wait a second, please. Can you let us know when you've got it, Ryan? Sorry, maybe I misunderstood, but I thought the one we had existing in the SharePoint was the revised version.
Yes.
So Ryan, the revised version is the one existing in the SharePoint?
I haven't gotten it.
I just
No, I
sent
believe,
Oh, you
I
just sent it.
believe,
Okay.
okay. I believe what's in the SharePoint is actually the revised version. So
Yes,
there's nothing to receive, Ryan.
There's nothing. Okay. It just doesn't have just doesn't say late as Mr. Secretary has indicated.
Yeah, well, okay, the board has noted that it was submitted one day late. We'll consider that in our decision making. But in the
The
meantime,
last page has the emails showing it's late. Or
There we
page 27.
okay,
Mhm.
Page 27.
Or maybe no, sorry, that's the emails from the, never mind.
Okay, I got the
Emails. Yeah.
I got the revised brief, Mr. Chair.
okay, thank you. Ms. Cates, when you are ready, please.
So if you turn to page 2, you'll see a summary of some of the property facts, as well as our requested assessment of $12,154,000. On page 4, we have our property description. So the subject property is located on Pembina Highway, north of its intersection with Grandmont Boulevard in the St. Norbert area of Winnipeg. The property consists of a 4-story apartment building that was built in 2009. And the site size is approximately 1.9 acres and zoned RMFM. The total gross floor area is approximately 75,296 square feet. The property has a total of 63 units, including 7 one-bedroom, 50 two-bedroom, and 6 three-bedroom units. And there are 63 outdoor parking stalls noted. We've included an aerial view of the subject property. And on page 5, we have a Google Map view to get a better sense of the neighborhood. If you turn to page 8, we have an overview of our income approach. So the main issue here would be cap rate. So we are disputing the assessor's cap rate of 4.55%. And we're using a cap rate of 5.25% based on our cap rate study, which we'll go through a bit later. But just as an overview of that cap rate study, the first table seen here shows our base cap rates based on effective age of the property. And then the table below that shows all of the factors that we've considered for this property on a site-specific basis to determine if an adjustment is warranted. Based on our review of the factors, we have not adjusted upwards from our base cap rate of 5.25%, as we're of the opinion that the strengths and weaknesses of the property balance themselves out. If you turn to page 10, we have our valuation breakdown. So what we've done here is we've stabilized income and expenses based on 3 years of data. On the side, the right-hand side of the sheet in the remarks column, we've put whether we've used an average or a percentage. If no comment is made, it can be assumed that we're stabilizing based on the most recent year. So just walking through this, we have rents of $1,021,850. This is stabilized based on the actual income of the subject property. And when adding in for parking and miscellaneous income, that leads to an effective gross income of $1,036,585. I note that we used an average of 2018 to 20 for the miscellaneous income rather than the most recent year. The reason that was done was just because that expense is a bit sporadic, so we used an average just to level it out. In terms of the expenses, we received the actual insurance expense for 2020 as shown in the subject stabilized column. And on page 27 is where I've included the email from the owner speaking to the actual insurance expense. So I won't go through that right now, but it's on page 27 just for the board's reference. Then in terms of other expenses, we've used a 3-year average except where we've deemed an outlier may exist. So for example, just looking at advertising and leasing, so line item 19, I've just done the average of 2018 to 19 because 2020 seemed to be an outlier on the high end. So that's kind of the methodology that we've applied throughout the properties today. And then in terms of the repair and maintenance, we've stabilized it at $1,237 a suite. So in our appendix, we have a breakdown of how we've come to that repair and maintenance. So if I could direct everyone to go to page 28, just to go through the repair and maintenance breakdown once, and then it'll kind of apply to the other properties as well. Okay, so on page 28, we have repair and maintenance based on 5 years of data from 2016 to 2020. So you'll notice at the bottom of the sheet, we have our repair and maintenance total. Then the line below that is repair and maintenance less capital expenditures like roof, hot water tank, etc., and also less waste and snow, as we stabilize waste and snow separately. And then the bottom values give you the repair and maintenance per suite. But where we do our stabilizations is next to each line item. So you'll notice on the right-hand side of the sheet. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
No, we just lost you.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay, so on the right-hand side of the sheet, that's where we have our stabilizations. So what we've done for flooring replacement, appliance replacement, painting, and counters, cupboards, and carpentry is we've talked to different property managers, and they've indicated what appropriate values would be for those, and that's where we've capped out those values. And then for all of the other line items, we look and we'll factor out any outliers if we deem them to exist, which is why for certain line items, you'll see average exclude 2017, average exclude 2020, etc. So from that, that's how we arrived at our 1237 a suite for the repair and maintenance for this property. Okay. So that's kind of leads to our expenses that we've achieved. So in terms of the cap rate, if we could turn to the Altus cap rate study, which is a separate document.
All right. We will all find it on our SharePoint here, Ms. Cates. Not the rebuttal. Oh boy.
It's just below 66 Carlton.
No, it's the last fifth and sixth item, Mr. Chair, starts with the study.
Sorry, I've lost my summary here. Okay.
Study
What what item would it be?
It's just below the Carlton properties.
Okay, number 25, Altus 2023 cap rate study for apartments. Is that right?
That would be great. Yes.
Okay. Diane, do you have it?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to open.
Michelle?
You're mute, Michelle.
Yes, I have it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ryan, do you have
Mine's
it?
just spinning, so okay, now I'm open. I'm good.
Okay. Ryan, do you have it?
I do have the Altus cap rate study. Yes, thank you.
Okay. And Ms. Cates will consider this to be applied to the following items on the docket. Would that be fair?
Yes, that sounds good.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So if you turn to page 2 of the cap rate study, we start by showing the range of city cap rates. So their range is quite wide at, mid, 3.85 to 7.4, where most are stated to fall between the high 4s to mid 5 range. If you go toward the middle of page 2, we've included a summary of the broker market reports. So what we're seeing here is that they're applying nothing lower than 5% for low-rise properties. And additionally, they're showing either no compression or very low compression of 25 basis points. Toward the bottom of page 2, we have some text surrounding interest rates, where essentially the main points are just that the interest rates are only one component of cap rate, and additionally, cap rates do not move one-to-one with the treasury yields. On page 3, we've included some charts speaking to the relationship between interest rates and cap rates. So these charts are national charts. We're not using them to derive our cap rates, but just to show the relationship between interest rates and cap rates. On page 4, it describes the factors that we consider for properties to potentially adjust them. And we look at these on a site-specific basis. So not all factors will be relevant to all properties, but just to highlight a few that will be relevant to today's docket. So in terms of building type and construction, wood frame would increase the risk. Multiple buildings on the site where there's multiple different systems to maintain, more roof area would increase the risk. In terms of building amenities, we're seeing tenant preferences have changed, and these are trends that have predated COVID, where people were spending more time at home and they wanted more amenities, including in-suite laundry, balconies, gyms, etc. In terms of durability and quality of income, that will come up later in the docket with some of the social housing properties that we have. And then just some other points to touch on. Suite mix, we're seeing more of a preference for larger suites, so more 2 and 3 bedrooms as opposed to bachelor and 1 bedrooms. And finally, supply and demand. We're seeing a lot of supply coming onto the multifamily market, potentially oversupply in certain areas, especially Southwest, especially around Pembina and near the university, where demand has not increased proportionately with that. Toward the bottom of page 5, we've just included a comparison of the previous cap rates just to show the evolution of our position. Page 6, we have our cap rate sales. So the important ones to note are the first 3 would be our cap rate sales from this cycle. We've added in previous cap rates as well, just to further bolster the age categories and show how our position has evolved over the cycle. And then page 7, we have on the top of the page a breakdown of sale price per suite among different age categories. And then to the middle to bottom of page 7, these are the 2 charts that are present in our briefs. And these show all of the different factors, but in our briefs, we'll take out the factors that aren't relevant to that specific property. So that would be the body of the report. And then just to walk through some pages of the appendix just briefly. Page 8 would be the start of Appendix A. So this is a sampling of city cap rate sales, not to be used as a comparison, but just to show that very similar properties have different cap rates applied. So just that there are clearly some other factors of adjustment that we're not aware of. Page 14 would be the start of Appendix B. So that is the broker market reports, in case you wanted to see the entire reports of where the cap rate table is derived from. Page 20 would be the start of Appendix C, which is speaking to the factors and the documentation supporting those factors. So just to highlight a couple pages from there, page 22 in the highlighted section speaks to a pre-existing trend of increasing number of employees working from home prior to COVID, and that is from a City of Winnipeg economic report. And then if you go to page 37, so page 37 and 38 are in relation to the supply and demand relationship. So on page 37, we have a chart showing the amount of new inventory coming onto the apartment market. And then page 38, we have a breakdown by region of new and pending supply. So especially in the Southwest, like I was saying, and around Pembina near the university, a lot of supply on the market. So that is a factor to consider for those properties. And then we see the second most popular for new product is in the central region. And then on page 40, toward the bottom right-hand side of the page, highlighted, it's just shows that vacancy rate for newer units is at 7.4%, which shows that newer apartments are being absorbed at a slower rate. Page 43 would be the start of Appendix D, which is our backups for our cap rate sales. I won't walk through all of those, but that's where they are just for your reference. And then finally, page 145, if you wanted to see the backups for the sales, where we got the sale price per suite from our chart, that would be on page 145. So that would conclude my cap rate overview. So if I could just return to my main brief, just to wrap up.
Perhaps before we proceed, I'm going to ask the assessor if he has any questions about the cap rate study submitted, Mr. Valderrama.
No, I don't, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Michelle, any questions of that cap rate study presented?
No, thank you. No questions.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
I do. On page 10, this is the city's cap rates from the previous years with what was settled at in 2020 and the different, okay, I just figured it out. Never mind.
Thanks, Diane. And I have no questions. Thank you, Ms. Cates. So we're going to go back to your brief, Ms. Cates.
Yeah, if we could just go to page 10 of the main brief and I'll just wrap up the presentation.
Perfect. Just bear with us while we get back there. Scroll through everything and get your brief up here. There you are. Okay, $32.99. And what page would you like to start on, Ms. Cates?
Page 10 would be good.
Okay, perfect. I think we're all there. Are we there, Michelle, Diane?
Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So then just to wrap up, the net operating income from the income and expenses that we discussed earlier works out to $638,072 with our 5.25% base cap rate applied, which is based on our cap rate presentation that we went through and based on consideration of factors, but not applying any adjustment to this property. Our requested value works out to $12,154,000 rounded, which works out to $192,900 per unit. In terms of our appendix, that starts on page 12. So I've included some photos of the interior of the suites, page 13, 14, 15. Page 16, I've included the city valuation sheet. And then page 7, starting on page 17 and going through the remainder, we have the financial statements showing where our numbers are coming from, where the repair and maintenance values are coming from. Page 27, I have the insurance email just showing the 2020 actual for insurance. And then page 28 and 29 is just the R&M breakdown and the valuation sheet repeated. In terms of, this is our R&M breakdown for this property. If you wanted to see a comparison of repair and maintenance for similar properties, we also have our Altus RM study, which I've submitted as part of the submission today. I won't go through it for this property, but it is there if you wanted to reference it.
Thank you.
And just to conclude, this property, while newer and does have different amenities like balconies, stainless appliances, etc., it doesn't necessarily have all of the amenities that we're seeing among the new apartments today. No covered parking, no gyms, no resident lounge, etc. So that would conclude my presentation on this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions on the assessor's evidence presented on our income calculation?
I have no questions on the applicant's evidence, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
Just, you're not using any vacancy, is that correct?
Yeah, just the way they report the income. We just use the actual reported amount, so then we don't put in the vacancy because it's already accounted for.
Okay, because that's the actuals. Okay, got it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
Just one. I know the city had said there's 90 outdoor spots and you had referenced 63. Is it 63 from your perspective, Ms. Cates?
Yeah, from our perspective, I looked at just what the owner had provided, and it was noted as 63. So that's kind of all I can speak to on the parking side of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, Ms. Cates, in summary here, your NOI is actually higher than the assessor, and you're using a cap rate of 5.25 as opposed to 4.55, resulting in a request for $12,154,000. Is that right?
That would be correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have no other questions. Requirement for summary by either party, Ryan?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Cates?
I'm good also.
Okay, thank you. That concludes item number 1, 3299 Pembina Highway. Excuse me. Does anybody need a 5-minute break before we proceed? Or are we okay to do one more at least?
I'm good for one more.
Diane, Michelle, you okay?
Yes, I'm okay for another one.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Next one on the docket, item number 2, file number 221595, 3100 Pembina Highway, dealing with a 2023 realty assessment. And Mr. Valderrama, it's my understanding you're withdrawing that request for non-cooperation on this property.
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, hon. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Valderrama, when you're ready, 3100 Pembina Highway.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. The next property has a file number of 22-1595. It has a roll number of 03091208000. The property is located at 3100 Pembina Highway. Again, we're dealing with the roll year of 2023. Using reference date of April 1st, 2021, the property has split assessment. The first assessment has an assessed value of $465,000. It is classified as a residential 1 with a liability of grant. And the next assessment has an assessed value of $10,123,000. It is classified as residential 2 with a liability of grant. The property is a residential apartment with 6 buildings, 2 to 3 stories, with an actual and effective year built of 1976. It has 91 suites with 102 outdoor parking. This is zoned as C2 commercial community. It has a land area of 195,569 square feet, a planned area of 37,283 square feet, and a basement area of 19,928 square feet. The total gross floor area, is 113,848 square feet. On page 3 is the aerial photo of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation workup. Again, there are 91 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $1,146.25. The first assessment has a gross potential rent of $55,020. It has a vacancy rent rate of 4.2%, or $2,311. It has an effective gross income of $52,709, an expense ratio of 52.76%, or $27,809. And the net operating income is $24,900. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.35%, the capitalized income for this part of the assessment is $465,421. The second portion of the split assessment has a gross potential rent of $1,196 and $685. Vacancy rate is 4.2%. The vacancy in terms of dollars is $50,261. Effective gross income is $1,146,424. It has an expense ratio of 52.76%, which is $604,853. The net operating income is $541,571. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.35%, the capitalized income is $10,122,822. On page 5 are some rent comparables. Again, there are 4. The first one is located at 1750 Pembina Highway. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,255. The second one is located at 990 Markham Road. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,330. The third one is located at 2945 Pembina Highway. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,346. And the last one is located at 2295 Pembina Highway. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,179. And on page 6 is the capitalization rate chart. On page 7 is the capitalization rate evidence. And beginning on page 8 to page 12 is the income and expense information for 2020 for the subject property. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, with the understanding that the questions asked by you in the previous subject regarding the cap rate and the sales evidence should be carried forward, would that be fair?
That would be fair. I just had a few new questions.
Of course, yes. And also we'll consider the cap rate study submitted by you, those other studies too, okay? Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the property consists of 6 buildings on the site. Would that be correct?
6 buildings, yes, based on the pictures on page 3.
And are you aware if the model considers a premium to the cap rate as compared to a property with only 1 building?
I am not aware of that, no.
And the property would be described as social housing. Would you agree with that?
Without inspecting it, and I'm just basing it on the information I have, yes, it is.
And are you aware if the model considers any premiums to the cap rate for social housing, given the increased risk profile?
I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. That would conclude my new questions for the property.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Diane, any questions of the assessor?
I had one, just a second, I gotta find it now.
Okay.
So the picture of the property, when you say 6 buildings at 3,100, there's 6 units in there or 6 buildings? I'm sorry, I'm just kind of, which of the 6 buildings?
So
on page 3.
On my page 3, if we look at the top side, where 3102 is, that's 1, and then
So
on the
all
left
of
side,
those,
2,
okay,
3,
3102,
4,
3104,
5, 6,
3106, and 3108, and 3110.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
But not the other buildings that are in between. So there's a building in between 3102 and 3104. That building's not included.
That's included in 3102.
Oh, okay, so all the buildings virtually on this picture are included then.
Yes.
Okay, that's where I was getting confused. 6 buildings, but there's a whole ton of buildings, it looks like. Okay, thank you.
I think Diane, even though the buildings are like 3102, the front is offset. It's still considered one building.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Would that be accurate?
Connected.
Yeah. Okay.
They're connected. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
okay, now I see. Okay, they're just offset but connected. Okay, got it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. Ms. Cates, allow us to get to your brief, please. When you're ready, Ms. Cates, 3100 Pembina Highway.
Thank you. So if you turn to page 2, we have our requested assessment of $9,441,000. We've included an overhead shot of the site, as well on starting on page 3, I've included some exterior photos of the site, as there's a mix of apartment and townhouse units. So on page 7, we have our property description. So the subject property is located on Pembina Highway at its intersection with DeVos Road in the Fort Richmond area of Winnipeg. The improvements include a 3-story apartment building and 5 2-story townhouse buildings, and they were built in 1976. The total gross floor area is approximately 113,848 square feet, and the subject property has 50 2-bedroom units, 30 3-bedroom units, 8 4-bedroom units, and 2 5-bedroom units for a total of 90 units. And there are 104 outdoor parking stalls noted. The site size is approximately 4.5 acres and is zoned C2. Below the property description, we have an aerial view of the subject property. On page 8, we have our Google Map view of the subject neighborhood. And then moving to page 11, we have an overview of our income approach. So regarding the rents used, we understand that the city's rents are based on a factor of CMHC rents of about 70 to 80%. So we will also apply these rents in our valuation, and it works out to a per suite value of $1,158.99 per suite per month. Given that the subject is social housing and it's not going to have a market level vacancy, we have applied a market vacancy of 4.2% for the purposes of this report as assessed. And in terms of the expense ratio, we find the 52.8% expense ratio to be appropriate. So essentially the issue here is just cap rate. On page 12, we go through our cap rate overview. So we are contesting the assessor's cap rate of 5.35%. And we are using a cap rate of 6% based on our cap rate study that we've previously gone through. We have a base cap rate for this property of 5.5% given its age. And in terms of the adjustments that we have applied adjustments for the fact that there's multiple buildings, there's 6 buildings on the site, more systems to maintain, more roof area. It's not an efficient way of building. And we've also applied an adjustment given that it's social housing, so an adjustment for the durability and quality of income. So just to go through briefly the background of why we do an adjustment for social housing, if I can direct everyone to go to page 22 in our appendix, so just page 22 of the PDF. So page 22 gives an overview of our methodology for social housing cap rates. The first 2 paragraphs are from a municipal board order, which we've also attached, but it's the idea that low investment grade apartments warrant a higher yield based on the presence of 4 different factors. Not all are going to be present in all properties, but those factors include low cost or low quality construction, advanced age, declining neighborhood, and low income tenancy. So in terms of this specific property, we're looking at low income tenancy, since not all are present. And one justification for the added risk of social housing is that the expenses are very high relative to the income. Starting on page 23, we've attached that municipal board order where those paragraphs are pulled from, and we've highlighted some of the important text just for reference. And then on page 27, we've included just an additional order, which just speaks to the idea that for social housing, simply applying low market rents on the low end and a higher than market vacancy isn't enough alone. There also needs to be a cap rate adjustment. So that goes from page 27 to 30, and again, those paragraphs are highlighted. So then if we can go to page 14, that's our income valuation overview. So essentially, just to recap, we are accepting the modeled NOI, and we are applying a 6% cap rate, which leads to a value of $9,441,000 rounded, which works out to $104,900 per suite. And then starting on page 16 is our appendix. So there are some interior photos. I didn't personally take these photos, but these were available. So I've included those. And then the rest of the appendix is just those social housing cap rates that we went through, as well as the city valuation and just our valuation repeated again. So that would conclude my presentation for 3100 Pembina. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Balderrama, any questions of the applicant's evidence?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Diane, any questions?
So just to summarize, this is simply a cap rate issue.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Ms. Cates, because the rule breaks down a class code 10 and class code 20, and you're agreeing with the assessor's net operating income in total, I need to confirm that under class code 10, you would accept a net operating income of $24,900 for class code 10. I do, and a net operating income in class code 20 of 541,571.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. With a 6% cap rate applied. Okay, good. Any requirement for summary by either party?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Cates?
I'm good also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That concludes item number 2, 3100 Pembina Highway. Next item on the docket is item number 3. And if anybody needs a break, tell me, otherwise we'll proceed, please. We're dealing with file number 22-3419. Address is 2965 Pembina Highway, and it's a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Valderrama, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next property has a file number of 22-3419. The property has a roll number of 0306031500. It is located at 2965 Pembina Highway. We're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value is $10,235,000. The property is classified as a residential 2 with the liability of taxable. The property is a residential apartment with 2 buildings, 3 stories, effective years built and effective years built, or actual years built and effective years built of 1971 to 1972. It has 90 suites with 96 outdoor parking. It is zoned as residential multifamily with a land area of 119,166 square feet, land area of 25,578 square feet, and a gross floor area of 76,734 square feet. Page 3 is the aerial photo of the subject property. Page 4 is the income valuation summary. Again, there are 90 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $1,067.99. The gross potential rent is $1,153,429. The vacancy rate is 4.2% or $4,844. The effective gross income is $1,104,985. Expense ratio is 50.9% or $562,548. The net operating income is $542,437. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $10,234,660 or $10,235,000 rounded. On page 5 are some rent comparables. The first one is located at 2945 Pembina Highway. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,346. The second one is located at 990 Markham Road. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,330. The third one is located at 2393 Pembina Highway. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,123. And on page 4, the fourth compare is located at 2295 Pembina Highway. That's an average monthly rent per unit of $1,179. The next page has the map of the subject property and comparable rents. On the next page is the capitalization rate, and page 8 is the capitalization rate evidence. And on page 9 is the 2020 income and expense information for the subject property. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Balderrama. Does the applicant have any questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
I don't have any new questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions either. Ms. Cates, we'll get to your brief right away. 2695 Pembina Highway. When you are ready, please, Ms. Cates.
Thank you. So on page 2, we have our requested assessment of $9,585,000, and we have an external shot of the property. On page 4, we have our property description. So the subject property is located on Pembina Highway, north of its intersection with Newdale Avenue in the Richmond West area of Winnipeg. The property consists of 2 3-story apartment blocks with no basement that were built in 1972. The site is irregularly shaped, and the site size is approximately 2.7 acres and is zoned RMFS. The total gross floor area is approximately 76,734 square feet. The subject property has a total of 90 units, including 8 bachelor units, 58 one-bedroom units, and 24 two-bedroom units, and there are 96 outdoor parking stalls noted. We have an aerial view of the subject showing the 2 buildings, and on page 5, we have our Google Map view of the neighborhood. Page 8, we have an overview of our income approach, so primarily cap rate in dispute. So we are disputing the assessor's cap rate of 5.3%, and we are using a cap rate of 5.5% based on our cap rate study. Our base cap rate for this property is 5.5 based on the age, and we have considered other factors but have not made an adjustment. So our cap rate that we're using is 5.5%. If you turn to page 9, we have our income valuation. So our rents we're using are $1,122,767. We're applying a vacancy rate of 4.4%, which is the 3-year average vacancy for the property. And when accounting for the other forms of income, so laundry and parking, we have an effective gross income for the property of $1,121,000 $405. Our expenses are all shown below. For line item 17, office supplies, we've excluded 2020 from the average because it seemed like an outlier. It seemed a bit high for that. So our total expenses when stabilized and including our stabilized R&M of $22.57 a suite gives us an expense ratio of 53% for the property. Our NOI comes out to $527,198, and with our cap rate of 5.5%, gives us an indicated market value of $9,585,000, and that works out to, let me just look here, that works out to $106,500 per unit. Our appendix starts on page 11. So I've included some interior photos on page 12 of the property. Page 15, that's our city valuation that was for the property. And the remainder of the pages are the income statements for the properties, which we referenced. If you wanted to see the detailed R&M breakdown of where our $22.57 a suite came from, that would be found on page 21. And that would conclude my presentation for this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions of the applicant?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Diane, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions either. Requirement for summary by either party. Are we good?
I have none too, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Cates, you're all right?
I'm good also. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes 2965 Pembina Highway. And we are gonna, Jaswinder, we're gonna recess for 5 minutes, please. Thank you, Jaswinder. Thank you. I will now call the hearing back to order. Next property on the docket is item number 4, file number 22-3418, address 2945 Pembina Highway, 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. We are dealing with Mr. Valderrama. When you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next property again has a file number of 22-3418. That's a roll number of 03060520100. It is located at 2945 Pembina Highway. We're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date 1st 2021. The assessed value is $13,598,000. The property is classified as a residential 2 with a liability of taxable. The property is a residential apartment with 1 building, 6 stories, an actual and effective year built of 1973. It has 101 suites with 125 outdoor parking. The property is zoned as residential multifamily. It has a land area of 117,905 square feet, a planned area of 16,664 square feet, a basement area of 1,692 square feet, and a gross floor area of 116,492 square feet. On page 3 is the aerial photo of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation summary. Again, there are 101 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $1,209.54. The gross potential rent is $1,465,962. The vacancy rate is 4.2% or $61,570. The effective gross income is $1,404,392. The expense ratio is 47.23% or $663,294. It has a net operating income of $741,098. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.45% on the net operating income, the capitalized income is $13,598,128 or $13,598,000. On the next page are some rent comparables. The first one again is located at 990 Markham Road. The average monthly rent per unit is $1,330. The second one is located at 2965 Pembina Highway. The average monthly rent per unit is $1,212. The next one is located at 1 Greyfriars Road. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,231. And the fourth one is located at 125 Allegheny Drive. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,342. Next page has the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Page 7 has the capitalization rate chart. And the next page has the capitalization rate evidence. And on page is the 2020 income and expense information. That's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions?
I have no new questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
I do not, thanks.
Michelle?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions either. Ms. Cates, we shall get to your brief. When you are ready, Ms. Cates, please.
Thank you. So if you turn to page 2, you'll see our requested assessment of $12,940,000, as well as an external photo of the property. On page 4, we have our property description. So the subject property is located on Pembina Highway between its intersections with Kirkbridge Drive and Newdale Avenue in the Richmond West area of Winnipeg. The property consists of a 6-story apartment block that was built in 1973. The site is irregularly shaped and is approximately 2.7 acres and is zoned RMFS. The total gross floor area is approximately 116,492 square feet. And the subject property is a total of 101 units, which includes 78 one-bedroom units and 23 two-bedroom units. And there are 125 outdoor parking stalls noted. Beneath that, we have an aerial view of the property, and on page 5, a Google Map view. On page 8, we have an overview of our income approach. So essentially, we're applying different parameters for NOI and cap rate for this property. If you turn to page 9, we are applying our base cap rate of 5.5%. So we are disputing the cap rate of the assessor of 5.45%. So not a huge dispute, but our base cap rate for this age range is 5.5. We have considered other factors for adjustment, but we have not adjusted it. On page 10, we have our income valuation. So to run through this, we are applying rents of $1,353,095 based on the actual stabilized income of the subject property. We're applying a vacancy rate of 6.5%, which is the 3-year average vacancy for the property. And when adding in other forms of income, we have an effective gross income of $1,385,043. Our expense ratio is 48.6%, leading to a net operating income of $711,696 with a 5.5% cap rate, leads to a value of $12,940,000 rounded, which works out to a value of $128,100 per unit. Our appendix starts on page 12. And again, we have some interior photos of the property on page 13. On page 15, we have our city value. And in the remainder of the appendix are the financial statements, as well as the R&M breakdown for the property can be found on page 21, which shows how we arrived at our value of $2,205 per suite. And that would conclude my presentation for this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions of the applicant?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. Any requirement for summary by either party?
None, Mr. Chair.
I'm good also.
Thank you. That concludes 2945 Pembina Highway. Next item on the docket is item number 5, file number 22-1467. address 2900 Pembina Highway, and we're dealing with a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Valderrama, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next property has a file number of 22-1467. It has a roll number of 03041345100. Property is located at 2900 Pembina Highway. We're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value is $6,591,000. The property is classified as an institutional property with a taxable school exempt liability. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 6 stories, an actual and effective year built of 1974. It has 95 suites with 29 outdoor parking. The property is zoned as residential multifamily with a land area of 50,218 square feet, a plan area of 10,446 square feet, and a gross floor area of 62,964 square feet. On page 3 is the aerial photo of the subject property. And it's just freezing. Oh, sorry, Mr. Chair, my computer's just freezing a little bit. I guess it comes with the weather too. Page 4 is the income valuation summary. Again, there are 95 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $713.60. Has a gross potential rent of $813,504. Has a vacancy rate of 4.2%, or $34,167. It has an effective gross income of $779,337. The expense ratio is 56.02%, or $436,585. The net operating income comes down to $342,752, applying the capitalization rate of 5.2%. The capitalized income is $6,591,385, or $6,591,000 rounded. Next page has the rent comparables. The first one is located at 2393 Pembina Highway. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,123. Second is located at 204 Avenue. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,179. Next one is located at 2295 Pembina Highway with an average monthly rent per unit of $1,179. And the last one is located at 1043 Beardmore Boulevard, which has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,062. Next page has the subject property and the comparable rents. Page 7 has a capitalization rate chart. Page 8 has the capitalization rate evidence. And on page 9 is the 2020 income and expense information for the subject property. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions of the assessor?
Just a few, thank you. So would you agree that an apartment that has small unit sizes such as this property would be a value negative compared to an apartment with larger units?
It all depends on bedroom unit mix, I would say. Or this one has more bachelor, so smaller, yes. Negative influence, not sure. I don't know.
Okay. Would you agree that an apartment having insufficient parking, such as the subject, would be a value negative compared to an apartment with, say, a 1-to-1 ratio?
I am not sure how in certain areas of the market how the market responds to lower parking stalls.
Okay. And would you agree that both of those items, being small unit sizes and insufficient parking, would be hard to cure or amend
Well, it is what it is. It's hard to add more parking if you have limited space. So uh, the property it's stuck with what it has right now.
Okay. That would conclude my new questions for this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Michelle, any questions of the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Diane, any questions?
So just to be clarifying, these are actual apartments. You know, when you say institutional property, they're actually apartments. They're not like a assisted living place.
Assisted living or those for elderly. I think we treat them as an apartment.
Okay. So is this an age limit on this property?
That's what I'm not sure of.
I'm sorry, for the tenants, is it like a 55 plus or? I'm just
that's
wondering
what I'm
why
not
such
sure.
little parking, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's still a little bit of green space that maybe later down the road if they consider more parking, but other than that, they only have this much for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Diane. I have no questions for the assessor. Ms. Cates, I think let's see, 2,900. We have your brief up. When you're ready, please.
So if you turn to page 2, you'll see our requested assessment of $5,001,000. And we have an external photo of the subject property. On page 4, we have our property description. So the subject property is located on Pembina Highway between its intersections with Killarney Avenue and Dalhousie Drive in the Fort Richmond area of Winnipeg. The property consists of a 6-story apartment that was built in 1974. The total gross floor area is approximately 62,964 square feet. And the property has 33 bachelor units, 55 one-bedroom units, and 7 two-bedroom units for a total of 95 units. And there are 27 outdoor parking stalls noted. The land area is approximately 1.2 acres and is zoned RMFL. We have an aerial view of the property below that. And on page 5, we have a Google map view of the subject's neighborhood. If you turn to page 7, we have an overview of our income approach. So the subject property can be best described as social housing, specifically seniors housing. So given that it's social housing and they're not going to be achieving market rents, we have accepted the modeled rent, which works out to approximately $713.60 per suite per month. And additionally, based on earlier comments about vacancy with social housing, we have also applied a market vacancy rate of 4.2% as assessed. In terms of the expense ratio, we have applied a rate of 63.1%, and this is based on the actual stabilized expenses of the subject property. If you turn to page 9, this is a discussion on cap rate. So we are disputing the cap rate of 5.2% applied by the assessor, and we are applying a cap rate of 5.75%. So for this property, our base cap rate is 5.5%. And given that it's social housing and specifically seniors housing, which has other aspects built in that would be hard to cure. For instance, insufficient parking, there's 0.28 stalls per unit. It has a really high proportion of small units, so 93% bachelors and 1-bedrooms and 7% 2-bedroom. And additionally, the suite sizes are quite small. We note 378 square feet for bachelors, 525 square feet for 1-bedrooms, and 656 square feet for 2-bedrooms. So given all of these factors that are associated with seniors housing, and given our position on social housing cap rates as previously discussed, we've applied a 0.25% premium to the cap rate to give us a 5.75% cap rate for this property. If you turn to page 11, we have our income valuation. So our effective gross income is $779,337, based on the modeled income. In terms of the expenses, as mentioned, these are the actual expenses of the subject property, with the exception of the real estate taxes. This property is 40S, and a prospective purchaser can't necessarily expect that same tax treatment to continue. So we have calculated the taxes as if it was a Class Code 20 property. I have the calculation with me if you would like me to go through that later. So that gives us an expense ratio of 63.1%. Our net operating income comes out to $287,534, and with a 5.75 cap rate leads to our requested value of $5,001,000. That works out to $52,600 per unit. Our appendix starts on page 14, and it just goes through the social housing cap rates, as well as the city valuation and financials for the subject property. As well, our repair and maintenance breakdown can be found on page 29. We didn't have the full 5 years of data to stabilize the repair and maintenance, so it's based on a 2-year stabilization. So if you wanted to see where the value of $13.89 a suite for repair and maintenance came from, that would be page 29. Page 30, we also have a breakdown of the replacement reserve expenditures of $577 per suite. And then page 31 is just our valuation repeated again. So that would conclude my presentation for 2900 Pembina. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. I believe no requirement for summary by either party. Would that be fair?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Also,
Thank you. Thank you. That concludes 2900 Pembina Highway, item number 5. Next property on the docket is item number 6. 2080 Pembina Highway, file number 22-3415, and we're dealing with a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Valderrama, when you are ready, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Next property is a file number 22-3415. It has a roll number of 03053846000. The property is located at 2080 Pembina Highway. The roll year we're dealing with is 2023, using reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value is $24,104,000. The property is classified as a residential 2 with a liability of taxable. The property is a residential apartment with 2 buildings, 2 to 12 stories, with an actual year built and effective year built of 1970. It has 172 suites with 170 indoor parking and 12 outdoor parking. It is zoned as a residential multifamily with a land area of 98,430 square feet, a planned area of 39,924 square feet, a basement area of 39,924 square feet, and a gross floor area of 173,663 square feet. Page 3 is the picture or aerial photo of the subject property. Page 4 is the income valuation summary. There are 172 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $1,281.63. The gross potential rent is $2,645,284. It has a vacancy rate of 4.2% or $111,102. Has an effective gross income of $2,534,182. Has an expense ratio of 46.26% or $1,172,313. The net operating income comes down to $1,361,869. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.65%, the capitalized income is $24,103,876 or $24,104,000. On next page, page 5, is the rent comparables. First one located at
Mr. Valderrama, perhaps on these, we're seeing them repeated over and over again. Would you mind just summarizing the neighborhood where they are and the actual rent that you're comparing to? That'll suffice for us. Thank you.
I'm sorry, which the actual rents for the comparables?
Yeah, rather than going into individual addresses and everything, we understand they're in the Pembina Highway area. And if you wouldn't mind summarizing, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, these are all in the Pembina area. The average monthly rent per unit ranging from $1,212 up to $1,596 per unit.
Thank you.
On page 6 is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Page 7, again, the capitalization rate chart. Page 8 is the capitalization rate evidence. Page 9 is the 2020 income and expense information for the subject property. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions of the assessor?
Just a few, thank you. So if we turn to your rent comps on page 5, would you agree that comps 1 to 3 are not high-rise apartments like the subject?
High rise like the subject. Let me just double check on that one. Yep. Lower compared to the subject property.
And looking at comp 1, would you agree that this would be more of a garden style apartment?
I'm not sure. I haven't inspected this property.
Okay, but would you agree that garden style apartments would have different features than a standard apartment, such as individual entrances?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen this property, so I can't agree or disagree on that one. But yeah.
Okay. And last question, are the rents shown for the comps modeled or the actual rents?
For the comps 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're all what's reported to us.
Okay, so you would agree that comps 2 and 4 had been previously heard in our docket and both had different rents shown than what's shown here?
3 and 4? Sorry? 2 and 4. Yeah, these are the actuals, yes.
Okay, thank you. That would conclude my questions.
Thanks, Ms. Cates. Michelle, any questions of the assessor?
No, thank you.
Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
And I have no questions either. Ms. Cates, we will get to your brief right away. Ms. Cates, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. So on page 2, we have our requested assessment of $21,389,000, as well as an exterior photo of the subject property. On page 4, we have our property description. So the subject property is on Pembina Highway between its intersections with Chancellor Drive and Thatcher Drive in the Montcalm area of Winnipeg. The property is a 12-story apartment block built in 1970. And the approximate site size is 2.3 acres and is zoned RMFM. The total gross floor area is approximately 173,663 square feet, plus 59,829 square feet of parkade. The subject property has a total of 172 units, including 78 one-bedroom units, 82 two-bedroom units, and 12 three-bedroom units. There are 12 outdoor parking stalls and 170 indoor parking stalls noted. And the property also has an indoor pool and a sauna. So we have an aerial photograph provided. And then on page 5 is a Google Map view. If you turn to page 8, we have an overview of our income approach. So essentially, we're disputing the net operating income, and we will use the cap rate of 5.65% as applied. So if you turn to page 9, we have our valuation summary. So we are applying rents of $2,479,239 based on the actual income of the property. We are applying a market vacancy rate of 4.2% with the logic that a prospective purchaser would apply a market vacancy rate. They wouldn't reasonably expect a below market rate in the 1% range to continue over the life of the property. With the other forms of income added in, we have an effective gross income of $2,469,489. We have stabilized the repair and maintenance at $19.50 a suite, which gives us an expense ratio of 51.1% for the property based on the actual stabilized expenses. Our net operating income is $1,208,502, and with the 5.65% cap rate, gives us a value of $21,389,000 rounded, and that works out to a value of $124,400 a unit. Our appendix starts on page 11, and on page 12, I have some interior photos of the property. Page 15 is the city value, and then again, the financial statements. Page 21 shows our repair and maintenance breakdown, and then page 22 is our valuation repeated. So that would conclude my presentation on this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions of the applicant?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions of the applicant?
No, sir.
And I have none either. Any requirement for summary by either party required?
I have none.
I'm okay also. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Okay. Next item on the docket is item number 7, file number 22-3008. Address is 1472 Pembina Highway. And we're dealing with a 2023 realty assessment appeal. Mr. Valderrama, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next property is a file number of 22-3008. The roll number is 03080626000. The property is located 1872 Pembina Highway. We're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value is $1,608,000. The classification is residential 2 with a liability of taxable. The property is a residential apartment, 1 building, 2 stories. It has an actual and effective year built of 1959. It has 17 suites with 16 outdoor. It is zoned as commercial community with the land area of 15,434 square feet, a planned area of 4,720 square feet, a basement area of 4,720 square feet, and a gross floor area of 14,160 square feet. On page 3 is the aerial photo of the subject property, and on page 4 is the income valuation summary. Again, there are 17 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $841.45. It has a gross potential rent of $171,656. It has a vacancy rate of 4.2% or $7,210. It has an effective gross income of $164,446. The expense ratio is 49.64% or $81,631. The net operating income is $82,815. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.15%. Realized income is $1,608,058 or $1,608,000 rounded. On page 5 are some rent comparables. First one, located at 1230 Pembina Highway with an average monthly rent per unit of $1,031. Second one is located at 555 Corridon Avenue, has an average rent per unit of $865. The third one is located at 251 Cockburn Street North, has an average monthly rent per unit of $901. And the last one is located at 1515 Pembina Highway, has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,059. Next page, map of the subject property and comparable rents. Page 7 has the capitalization rate chart. Page 8 is the capitalization rate evidence, and on page 9 up to page 10 is the 2020 income and expense information for the subject property. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions of the assessor?
I have no new questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions of the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Diane, any questions?
I do not.
I have one quick one, Mr. Valderrama, page 5 of your comps. I'm just wondering if you know if the heat is available similar to all the comparisons on the subject property, or pardon me, included in the rent?
I am not sure, Mr. Chair.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. That is my only question. Ms. Cates, we will get to your brief right away here. And it is 1471 Pembina Highway. When you are ready, please, Ms. Cates.
Thank you. So if you turn to page 2, you'll see our requested assessment of $1,456,000, as well as an exterior photo. On page 4 is our property description. So the subject property is located on the east side of Pembina Highway, north of its intersection with Crane Avenue in the Crescent Park area of Winnipeg. The property consists of a 2.5-story apartment block built in 1959, and the approximate land area is 15,434 square feet and is zoned C2. The total gross floor area is approximately 14,160 square feet. There are a total of 17 units, including 1 bachelor, 10 one-bedroom, and 6 two-bedroom units, and there are 16 outdoor parking stalls noted. We have our aerial photograph below that, and on page 5, we have our Google Map view of the neighborhood. If you turn to page 8, we have an overview of our income approach. So the primary issue is cap rate. We are disputing the assessor's cap rate of 5.15%, and we are using a cap rate of 6%. This property, with an effective age of 1959, has a base cap rate of 5.75%. And while the construction quality of masonry is good, the other issue, it doesn't overcome the issues of the property, which include condition is average or potentially below average. The suite mix isn't favorable, 65% bachelors and 1 bedrooms, 35% 2 bedrooms. And additionally, it's in a very competitive stretch of Pembina that competes for the same kind of market. So we feel an adjustment, a 0.25% adjustment to a 6% cap rate makes sense for this property. On page 9, we have our income valuation. So we have applied rents of $165,111. We've again applied a market vacancy rate of 4.2%. And with the other forms of income, we have an effective gross income of $162,768. Our expense ratio based on the actual expenses of the subject property is 46.3%, which includes a stabilized repair and maintenance of $1,429 a suite. Our net operating income comes out to $87,345, and with a 6% cap rate, gives us our indicated market value of $1,456,000, and that works out to a value of $85,600 per unit. Our appendix starts on page 11, and you can see some interior photos of the subject. So you see the finishes are very, very basic. And we have photos of different rooms there. And that goes up to page 18, and then page 18 starts with the city valuation, financial statements, etc. Page 29 would have our detailed repair and maintenance breakdown. And that would conclude my presentation for this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. Any requirement for summary by either party?
I'm good.
I have none.
Thank you. That concludes item number 1472 Pembina Highway. Next item on the docket is item number 8, file number 22-2160. Address is 36 Carlton Street. And we're dealing with a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Valderrama, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next property has a file number of 22-2160. It has a roll number of 12-092-631-000. The property is located at 36 Carlton Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value is $1,226,000. The property is classified as a residential 2 with a liability of taxable. The property is a residential apartment with 1 building, 2 stories, an actual year built of 1958, an effective year built of 1959. It has 14 suites with 6 outdoor parking. It is zoned as a downtown living with a land area of 6,018 square feet, a plan area of 3,140 square feet, a basement area of 3,140 square feet, and a gross floor area of 9,420 square feet. On page 3 is the aerial photo of the subject property. Next page is the income valuation summary. Again, there are 14 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $793.37. The gross potential rent is $133,286. Has a vacancy rate of 4.7%. A vacancy in terms of $6,264. It has an effective gross income of $127,022. It has an expense ratio of 50.77% or $64,489. The net operating income is $62,533. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.1%, the capitalized income is $1,226,137 or $1,226,000 rounded. On page 5 are comparables. The first one is located at 348 Assiniboine Avenue. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $917. And the second one is located at 224 Kennedy Street. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $1,059. Third one is located in Hargrave Street. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $881. And the fourth one is located at 43 Edmonton Street. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $789. Next page is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Page 7 is the capitalization rate chart. Page 8 is the capitalization rate evidence. And on page 9 to page 10 is the 2020 income and expense information for the subject property. That's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions of the assessor?
I have no new questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions of the assessor?
Is there any permits on this, like any capital improvements?
I wasn't able to look into that, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Valderrama, any history of inspection on this property at all?
I haven't done on this property yet, so I'm not sure if there were any. I wasn't able to check on that one, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my questioning. Ms. Cates, bear with us a second. We shall pull up your brief. Ms. Cates, when you're ready, please, 36 Carlton Street.
Thank you. So if you turn to page 2, you'll see our requested assessment of $932,000. On page 4, we have our property description. So the subject property is located on the west side of Carlton Street between Broadway and Assiniboine Avenue in the Broadway-Assiniboine area of Winnipeg. The property consists of a 2.5-story apartment block built in 1958. The site size is 6,018 square feet and is zoned D for downtown. The subject property is a twin building to 38 Carlton, which we'll be hearing next. The total gross floor area for this property is approximately 9,420 square feet. And there are 14 units, including 6 bachelor and 8 one-bedroom units. And there are 6 outdoor parking stalls noted. You'll see below the aerial photograph. On page 5, we have the Google Map view showing the neighborhood. If you turn to page 8, we have our income approach overview. So it's primarily a cap rate issue. So we are disputing the assessor's cap rate of 5.10%, and we are using a cap rate of 6% based on our study, which we've previously gone through. This property has an effective age of 1958, so our base cap rate is 5.75%. We've looked at various factors of the property. It's wood frame construction. It has insufficient parking, only 0.43 stalls per unit, and it's 100% bachelor and 1 bedroom. There are no 2-bedroom plus. So we feel a 0.25% adjustment to the cap rate is warranted. So we've applied a cap rate of 6%. If you turn to page 9, we have our income valuation. Just a note here that the financial statements for 36 and 38 Carlton for 2020 were combined. So the 2020 column is the total expenses for both properties times 50%, whereas the previous years were reported separately. So I just wanted to note that, and I also have that in my remarks on this valuation as well. So the market rents applied are $131,411. We've applied a vacancy rate of 8.1% based on the 3-year average of the property. And when accounting for other income, we have an effective gross income of $122,997. Our repair and maintenance has been stabilized at $1,414 a suite, which when factoring in our other expenses, we have an expense ratio of 54.6% with our 6% cap rate and the net operating income of $55,899. We have an indicated value of $932,000 rounded, which works out to a value of $66,600 a unit. Page 11 is the start of our appendix. And I have some interior photos showing the level of finish of the units, as well as the city valuation and financial statements. And our repair and maintenance breakdown would be on page 27. We didn't have the detailed data for this repair and maintenance, so we had to stabilize just based on the totals. But we feel something in the 1,400 range is more than reasonable for the property. And that would conclude my presentation for this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions?
No new questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
There's been no noted improvements since it was built or the effective date of 1959 at any rate? Question.
I didn't search for permits, so I wouldn't be able to comment on that. But yeah, I mean, it's been upkept.
So it's been regularly maintained, eh?
Yeah, it seems to be, and the interior finishes of the units show that they're basic, but they're in all right condition.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Diane, any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, when you look at those pictures of the interior, that kind of looks renovated, not 1959-ish, correct?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, thank you.
My question also, Diane. Thank you.
Mm.
Okay. So I have no further questions for the applicant. Any requirement for summary by either party?
None.
I'm good also.
Thank you. That concludes item number 8, 36 Carlton. Next property on the docket is item number 9, would be 38 Carlton Street. Mr. Valderrama, bear with us 1 second, please. There we go. Okay. Mr. Valderrama, 38 Carlton Street, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next property has a file number of 22-2161. The roll number for the property is 120926300000. The property is located at 38 Carlton Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value is $1,210,000. The property is classified as a residential 2 with the liability of taxable. The property is a residential apartment with 1 building, 2 stories, an effective and actual year built of 1959. It has 14 suites with 6 outdoor parking. The zoning is downtown living with land area of 6,019 square feet, plan area of 3,140 square feet, a basement area of 3,140 square feet, and a gross floor area of 9,420 square feet. Page 3 is the income valuation summary. There are 14 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $793.37. The gross potential rent is $133,286. It has a vacancy rate of 4.7% or $6,264. It has an effective gross income of $127,022. The expense ratio is 51.41% or $65,302. The total net operating income comes down to $61,720. Applying the capitalization rate of 5.1% on the net operating income, the capitalized income is $1,210,196 or $1,210,000 rounded. Page 4, do have a few rent comparables. They're all in the same vicinity or neighborhood, almost, with the subject property, and they're all the average monthly rent per unit is ranging from $768 up to $917. On the next page, page 5, is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Page 6 is the capitalization rate chart. On page 7 is the capitalization rate evidence. Page 8 to page 9 is the 2020 income and expense information for the subject property. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions of the assessor?
No new questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions of the assessor?
No, no, that's good.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
Probably similar to last time. Did you do any inspections and is there any permits?
No, I did not do any inspections, and I wasn't able to look into the permits for this property.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Mr. Valderrama, just to confirm, I hate to bleed from one property to the other, but these are twin buildings from the last property we dealt with. Is that correct?
Yeah, I wasn't able to inspect or check on that one, but
Okay.
it looks like it is.
Yeah. Similar suite count and everything. Okay.
Mhm.
And my question to you is in general, so these smaller 14 units, this one has a cap rate of 5.1%. In your opinion, is the cap rate low because of its markability, because of its affordability of the size?
In my opinion, I know that it was determined by the model based on three main factors and others, location, size, and age, and among
Okay,
others. So how the model determines it or puts weight on each of the characteristics, I am not sure, Mr. Chair.
no, fair enough. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thanks for your opinion. That concludes my questions. So now we have Ms. Cates's brief. Bear with us 1 second, please. Ms. Cates, when you are ready, 38 Carlton Street.
Thank you. So if you turn to page 2, we have our requested assessment of $810,000. Given that this property is the twin building to the previous property, I'll just skip ahead to our valuation, which is on page 9. So we have rents applied of $129,676. We are applying the vacancy rate of 7.6% based on the 3-year average. And with the other income factored in, we have an effective gross income of $122,050. Our repair and maintenance has been stabilized at $1,865 a suite. So our expense ratio comes out to 60.2%. We have a net operating income of $48,577, and with a 6% cap rate, that comes to an indicated market value of $810,000 rounded. The reason for the difference in value from the last property is, as mentioned, the other statements were reported separately, so there were some differences in the values there, but they are twin buildings. So again, for the appendix, it's the similar photos because they operate together, as well as the financial statements and the R&M breakdown can be found on page 27. And that would conclude my presentation for this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Cates, my question is, appears to be the same pictures from the last property. Is it fair to say this is actually pictures from this building? Does that represent the condition of this particular subject?
So the pictures are from the property management website, and the properties are shown together. So I wasn't able to differentiate that, but I would assume that it would represent the condition. I assume they would be in similar condition, given that they're operating together.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Excuse me, does either party require summary?
None, Mr. Chair.
I'm good also.
Thank you both. That concludes item number 9, 38 Carlton Street. And the last one on the docket today is item number 10, file number 22-2162. Address is 68 Carlton Street. And we're dealing with a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Valderrama, bear with us 1 second, please.
Okay.
We should pull up your brief for 66 Carlton Street. When you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the last property has a file number of 22-2162. It has a roll number of 12-092-626-000. The property is located at 66 Carlton Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2023 using reference date of April 1st, 2020. The assessed value is $2,876,000. The property is classified as a residential 2 with a taxable liability. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 3 stories, an actual year built of 1955, an effective year built of 1975. There are 33 suites with 14 outdoor parking. The zoning is downtown living with a land area of 15,054 square feet, a planned area of 6,633 square feet, a basement area of 6,633 square feet, and a gross floor area of 26,532 square feet. On page 3 is the photo of the subject property. And on page 4 is the income valuation summary. There are 33 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $755.75. The gross potential rent is $299,277. There's a vacancy rate of 4.7% or $14,066. Has an effective gross income of $285,211. The expense ratio is 50.08% or $142,834. The net operating income comes down to $142,377, applying the capitalization rate of 4.95%. The capitalized income is $2,876,303 or $2,876,000. Page 5 are some rent comparables. Again, these are all in the downtown area, close to the subject property. They are all ranging from $798 up to $892 average monthly rent unit. Or sorry, $763 up to $892 average monthly rent per unit. On page 6 is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Page 7 is the capitalization rate chart. And on page 9 is the on page 9 to page 10 is the 2020 income and expense information for the subject property. That's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Ms. Cates, any questions on the assessor's evidence?
No new questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, any questions of the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Diane?
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Valderrama, my question is, the effective age of 1975, any notes on how that effective age was established?
With this kind of effective age or additional age variant, there must be something significant that was done with the property. However, I just didn't think, I don't have the permits to indicate what was property.
Is it possible to look at some inspection notes, possibly a history there?
I don't have that handy with me, Mr. Chair. I don't have that open with me. I don't have the permits open with me, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Have you visited the property at all?
No, I haven't inspected it.
Okay. And we are located, I believe, between Broadway and Assiniboine Avenue. Is that right?
I'm just going to map here. Somewhere, yes. Broadway, Assiniboine area.
Okay.
Close to the ledge. A few blocks east of the ledge.
Okay, thank you. Oh, close to the ledge. Okay. And my next question is regarding page 2. There's a sale in 2006 for $1,560,000. Any information on that sale at all?
I wasn't able to look at that sale since it was 2006 and it was already considered in previous assessment years. So
Okay.
Yeah, all I know is it's the date and that's the value.
Okay. And my last question is, I believe your testimony is that one of the components of establishing a cap rate is the effective year built of the property. Would that be accurate?
Yes, that's the one that's considered by the model, correct?
Yeah.
The
So
age.
as one of the components, that age variant at 1978, I believe,
75.
75, would the model would be using that in its calculation of an applicable cap rate. Is that right?
I believe so, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That is all my questions on that. On your presentation, Ms. Cates, last one, I guess. Bear with us 1 second and we'll get your brief up here for 66 Carlton. Okay, Ms. Cates, when you are ready, please.
Thank you. So if you turn to page 2, you'll see our requested assessment of $2,618,000. On page 4, we have a property description. So the subject property is located on the west side of Carlton Street between Broadway and Assiniboine Avenue in the Broadway-Assiniboine area of Winnipeg. The property consists of a 3-story apartment block that was built in 1955 with an effective age of 1975 assigned. The site size is 15,054 square feet and is zoned D. The total gross floor area is approximately 26,532 square feet. There are a total of 33 units, including 1 bachelor unit and 32 one-bedroom units. And there are 14 outdoor parking stalls noted. You'll see the aerial photo view as well on page 5, the Google Map view. On page 8, we have the overview of our income approach. So we are disputing the assessor's cap rate of 4.95%, and we are using a cap rate of 5.75% based on our cap rate study as previously established. So with an effective age of 1975, that gives us a base cap rate of 5.5%. But applying similar methodology to what we did with the previous apartments, it has no amenities, it has insufficient parking, only 0.42 stalls per unit. It's skewed completely towards small units. There are no 2 or 3 bedroom units. And so we feel a 0.25% adjustment to account for those factors would be reasonable. So if you turn to page 9, we have our valuation. So we're applying rents of $334,740. We are applying a vacancy rate of 9.7% based on the 3-year average vacancy of the subject property. And with the other forms of income accounted for, that gives us an effective gross income of $310,837. Our repair and maintenance has been stabilized at $1,384 a suite. And with all the expenses accounted for, that gives us an expense ratio of 51.6%. We have a net operating income of $150,508, and with a 5.75% cap rate, gives us a rounded value of $2,618,000, which works out to $79,300 a unit. Page 11 is the start of our appendix, and I've included some interior photos that were available, as well as the city valuation financial statements. And then on page 28, we have our detailed R&M breakdown. And that would conclude my presentation for this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cates. Mr. Valderrama, any questions of the applicant?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Diane, any questions of the applicant?
Just the same question that you asked. How do you get this to a 1975 off of 1955 built? Do you know?
Except the city's effective age that they've assigned. And I know that the city's effective age is generally based on a kind of subjective assessment based on renovations or whatever that they saw fit.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. So Ms. Cates, following up on Diane's question, you do accept that age variant at 1975. Would that be fair?
Yes, we use the effective year built for our cap rates.
Okay, thank you. And have you inspected the property at all?
I have not.
Okay, thank you. My last question is, would you mind confirming your requested value? 2,600,000.
Oh, $2,618,000 rounded.
618. Okay, I'd written 680. I thought, okay, 618. Thank you. Thank you. Any requirement for summary by either party?
Not for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr.
I'm good also.
Ms. Cates, you're good? Okay. We have heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you to both parties. And you'll hear from us as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.